let's go ahead and look at our power rankings this week, the final power rankings of the season. Let's dive into it.
All right, let's go.
Top 10, as always. Let me do my little synopsis like we always do. You guys know the drill by now. If you want to get the full rankings, go over to our Twitter at @_square pod. That has 1 to 32, and you can get the full synopsis, and we can have a discussion there. Otherwise, if you're just looking for the best teams of the NFL, stay tuned because we talk about the top 10 in our power rankings here. We both have our list. We'll go from 10 down to 1, discuss each one pretty quickly here, and get on through it. So let's start with number 10. For me, I'm just going to kick things off. Arizona jumped up 3 spots. They got back into it. Arizona's in there, 11-5. Even though I was not super impressed with the win versus Dallas, it was still a win is a win in the NFL, and that was a big one for them to get. So had to put them back in the top 10.
All right. Well, at 10, I do not have Arizona. I have the Indianapolis Colts.
I have Indy at 11, so I dropped them one more spot than you did.
Gotcha. I had them at 4. They went down 6 spots. Not that they had a critical 6-spot, type of loss. However, the wins were so top heavy this week.
Yeah,
it is what it is. They're at 10. So
I respect it. Who do you have at 9?
Boy, the Cowboys dropped from 3 to 9. So my 2 drops. Really, 2 major drops are at the bottom. They rounded out my top 10 here, which is Dallas and Indianapolis, respectively. But Dallas did drop to a 12th ranked Arizona team, and so that got that definitely shifted my rankings around.
Gotcha. Well, I left the team that I had here at 9 last week. I didn't have anywhere to put them, so I had to leave them where they were. So Tennessee, they fall back at 9 this week. I couldn't move them up higher because of some other stuff that happened.
I understand, and I know that me and you having the same situation, just in different parts of that top 10, and that's fine. So I get it. Mine made a little bit more sense, but based on how my numbers were set up.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a conundrum. There's a couple of conundrums this week, top and bottom. For that
top, that's what I was going to say. It was kind of across the board for me. With a couple of the games that happened, I had guys in some really not weird spots. They were just in perplexing spots compared to their record. And I was just like, but I don't feel like that team is better than them. Like, I just don't know. Like, I don't feel like I can put you above them. And so some teams fell further than I wanted them to. But it was just like, damn, like that's what happened. Like you should have won the damn game. Like
that is the beauty of the power rankings. The records matter, and then they don't all at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah. So sometimes you gotta ignore them. Sometimes you gotta. It means everything. But
and that's what I did with Tennessee. I just had to kind of ignore that 11-5 record, and I had to leave them where they were. But at 8,
sometimes. Yeah, it's the eye test, man. I'm like, man, you could be 13-1.
I'm like, sorry, like even though you absolutely decimated Miami, I wasn't really that sold still. Like I was just like, okay.
Come on, Green Bay sitting there at 13-3. I'm not sold. I'm not either. Be more.
We'll talk about them in a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, but case in point, that is So, all right, we had number 8, which I'll go first if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is why I said, like, 2 of my, Dallas and Indianapolis failed, to round off my top 10s. But Arizona from 12 to 8. So, got a quality win against Dallas. Dallas was my number 3 team last week. And I know it was a 3-point loss, but I mean, that's a quality win. And I had to give it to Arizona. Like I'm saying, from a resume standpoint, it's better you won that game than lost it.
I mean, me and you are looking at that game a little bit differently. You said that's a quality win. I very much do not. And so I did move up Arizona 3 spots to get them back into the top 10. I mean, I had them higher than you did originally in the first place. So I think yours is also a little bit more of an adjustment than what I had them at. So regardless, I mean, I'm not going to give too many gripes about it. It's just I wasn't as sold on that win than you were. I mean, I said it back in that segment. I was disgusted by both teams in that game. But at 8 for me, I got New England. They did fall out. They were at number 10 after 2 straight losses. I have to give them credit for a 40-point win. But again, it was Jacksonville. You were supposed to do that. So you move up 2 spots, you get to 8.
Yeah. I just want to throw the score on the record. I got New England at 11.
Okay.
They were at 10 last week. I actually went down with a win.
And I'm not even mad at it.
Yeah. I said what you were doing with it at the bottom. It's just here it is right there. New England, you lose a spot for winning. Big. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Got to play better teams. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, who do you have at? You had Arizona. Gotcha. So at 7,
Arizona at 8.
Yeah, at 7, then I got Dallas 12-4. 11-5. They did not win that game. Let me fix that for myself.
He was not disgusted with the game, but very generous in their power rankings. I like that.
Well, there was some other people that, New England, Tennessee, and Arizona, I had to move up, or Tennessee. Granted, I held them where they were, but I do still think Dallas is a better team than Tennessee, so I wasn't going to put them lower than Tennessee. It was a mess right there. All of that, because I'll let you know, I have Indy at 11, and I have San Francisco right below them at 12, and San Francisco won. So I'm like, everybody kind of shifted weirdly, and I'm not dropping Dallas more than I think that I should, based off of the fact that they lost that game, even though I'm disgusted with it. Both Arizona and them. I gave Arizona the credit for the win. I gave Dallas the drop for the loss. Both of them moved 3 spots. It's just they moved 3 spots in opposite directions.
I have more to say about that after I give my number 7, because I hear you 1,000%, and it's going to get really wonky right now when we go to the next one.
Who you got at 7?
And Tennessee. I can't. Okay. And let me say this, and I'm listening to you, and I'm sitting there like, do I even really adjust this? Because I think Dallas being at 9 is justified based on, again, my top 10. Virtually everybody won. First, so I'm not in the business of just penalizing people for winning here. So with that being said, I was like, okay, the conundrum was, why am I dropping Dallas so much? They didn't lose to a crap team. They lost they lost somebody that was just out of my top 10, a team that just fell out of the top 10. And I'm like, okay, so this is not, it's a loss, but it's not one that's going to kill you in the power rankings. 6 is extreme for me. This is not a reflecting of a normal.
Hey, I won't be mad at you for flipping it on the fly right now. I wouldn't be mad at you.
See, because I know you wouldn't. See, because what needs to actually happen here is I need to move Arizona to 7, Dallas to 8, and Tennessee to 9. And I'm saying it's absurd because now I'm looking at Tennessee is number 1 in the AFC. How in the hell are you the 19th?
I have them at 9. They're just they don't, like you said, they don't pass the eye test.
I was listening to you, and I'm sitting there like, damn. And that's the question that kept coming. How in the hell do I justify the number 1 team in the AFC full conference got 8 teams ahead of them? And some of the teams are still in the same conference.
Yeah, some of those teams are in the same conference, but it doesn't matter because those teams, if you're looking at them right now, head to head, Tennessee versus Buffalo, Tennessee versus Cincinnati, Tennessee versus Kansas City. I'm taking all of those other teams over Tennessee right now. I'm sorry. I respect everything Tennessee's done this season. It has been fantastic. Even with them getting Derrick Henry back coming up pretty soon here, we can expect. I still don't see that team any better than the rest of these guys, especially Kansas City has found their stride the last few weeks. They caught Kansas City early this season when they were in this weird flux, that horrible part of the schedule that we were talking about. I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City versus Tennessee in a rematch. I'll take Buffalo versus Tennessee. I'm pretty sure they played each other earlier this year. I can't really remember, but regardless, if it's a rematch or not, I'm taking Buffalo. Cincinnati, they've been playing way better football. Even as however inconsistent they have been, they've been playing better football. So I don't think it's a knock to say Tennessee is the 9th best team in the NFL right now, even though they are the number 1 seed technically in the AFC. This is power rankings. This isn't the standings. These are power rankings. This is an index of how strong you are as a team. And I don't think Tennessee is as strong of a team as 8 other teams.
Gotcha. All right. So here it is. Recap.
All right.
Indianapolis at 10.
Gotcha.
I got Tennessee at 9.
We agree. We're in lockstep right there. Tennessee at 9.
Dallas at 8.
All right.
And I got Arizona at 7.
Gotcha. The only difference that we would have is I have Dallas at 7. You have Arizona there. I mean, let's give me my synopsis. I have Arizona at 10, Tennessee at 9, New England at 8, Dallas at 7.
Okay. And that's fine. I mean, I flip-flopped enough, but, I wanted to Arizona, nevertheless, in a head-to-head, edged them. So I'm like, I'm just not going to put them under them. And they're damn near to have the same record.
I had them at such different places to start out that I was just like, it doesn't matter. Like they did get closer, but they're not close enough in my power rankings for me to flip flop the two. I would have to drop Dallas another 3 spots, another 6, a total of 6 spots for them to be flip flopped. And I like you said, gotcha. Dallas's loss wasn't that egregious to be dropped 6 spots.
No, and that's it. I just, I adjusted it by 1, but I can justify 5 based on most of these teams up in my top 10 won. But I was like, God, Lord, how did I get them that place? But
I ended up moving the team up going 6 spots, but I think the furthest I dropped anybody was Indianapolis with 5 spots. They were at number 6 to me, I think, last week, and I dropped them to 11. So,
I could have easily, based on my the direction I was going in, if I was just like, let me just shift up everybody who won. Hell, Dallas would have been out of my top 10. That's why I was like, I just let them slide, and I kept letting them slide. I never really readjusted it. So, but that's why we just kept talking. I'm like, I can't justify this being down 9 spots, man. I just can't.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. So,
all right, let's look at Tampa Bay. At 6 rather. I have Tampa Bay. They dropped 1 spot after they lost. So, they won that game. It was just like I said. I was disgusted with the game more than I was with them pulling off of a win there. This shouldn't even have been a game in the first place. So that is a justifiable to me drop after a win. A team that shouldn't have been in it, you let in it. So. You do get dropped a spot for that, especially with some of the other things that happened in the top 5.
Right. I get you. And at number 6, before we get to these top 5, I have the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh.
They were at 9. I got them up to 6.
Oh, okay. You had them in a different spot than I had. Okay.
Yes, I did. And them losses, some of them, that 6 losses, man. They took some hits, and they were just sitting there in Midland over here in my power rankings for a while. So they've been coming on like game busters the last 3 weeks. But this is the highest I think I've ever had them, 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we've been through our first 5 of the top 10. Let's quickly look at the bottom of the list here before we get into the top 5. I think we have a synopsis number 32.
Absolutely.
Jacksonville Jaguars. All right. What do we have at 31?
I got a little bit of a flip flop. You would not believe it. I do not have the New York Jets at 31. I have the New York Giants.
So do I. Let's go. Lockstep right there. And at 30, do we keep it going here?
I probably not, but I'm going to go on a limb and maybe. I'm just going to say this. New York Jets.
That's where it's discrepancy. Carolina, man. Carolina's been trash the last few weeks.
I actually, until I seen what that Detroit finally looked like, that Detroit team, real Detroit team. No, buddy. They failed and slid right there to 29, and Carolina's sitting at 28 for me. So But let me be very clear. 27-32. I don't care. Just throw them up in the air.
I think we have the same teams in there, but we have them a little bit flip-flopped because I have at 27, I've got Houston. 28 is the Jets. Then I've got Detroit at 29. 30 is Carolina. 31 is the Giants. And 32 is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And that's funny. We only had one difference in there. You had Houston, and I had Denver.
Denver is 26 to me.
See,
they're the very next team.
And I generously, and then this is an eye test thing too. I got Houston at 25.
Ooh, okay. Because I have Atlanta at 25, which I definitely could have dropped them a little bit further. So
those were two teams that got out of the cellar for me, and kind of okay. You're not at the bottom, but you're not at the bottom. You know,
I agree.
Like, you showed me something that was something that would give me some type of excitement next year to say they got something going on over here.
But you want to talk about a team that we could have dropped further? I mean, we don't have to spend too much more time on the bottom, but one team I do think that I definitely could have dropped. I dropped them 4 spots this week. They fell down to 24 to me, and that's the Washington football team. I definitely could have put them down further.
Okay, I'll help you. I got them at 26, so I think that's the lowest I've had them all.
I'm talking. I could put them under Houston right now.
Well, they under Houston in mine. So I'm just saying. They just reflect. Look, I got it. So all your sentiments.
We cover all the bases on this show here.
We got this. And when I transfer this list over to you, you'll see like, okay, we're good. I'll leave mine right there. So yeah, in 2 different scenarios. If we want to have an alternative version, okay, let me be a little bit more of an apologist. We got this, people. So just stay with us. It all makes sense at the end.
Gotcha. All right. Let's talk
Back
top 5. Who do you got at number 5?
My lowly Chiefs. I'm just sorry that they lost to a 9th ranked team. They lost to number 9 Cincinnati, and Cincinnati impressively came back and won the game. And I'm giving credit what credit is due. Which is why Cincinnati is at 6, Kansas City is at 5. Now, the teams that are ahead of them, they still rolling. I mean, I'm saying this would have been that week. I'm penalizing teams, and I did a couple, and I didn't. That was more than enough. Some of these teams have been getting penalized just for winning, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, man. When all the right teams are winning in my power rankings, I'm sorry.
I think the only team in my top 10 that got penalized for winning was Tampa Bay, and that's because I also do take into account the fashion in which you win. So I mean, it's the Jets. I had to drop you. You should not have let the Jets into that game in the first place. But my number 5 actually is Buffalo, who moved up 3 spots. I had them at 8 last week. They get to that double-digit victory. They are the number 5 team in the NFL to me right now. And the 10-6 record, they move up 3 spots. They get into the top 5 after beating up on the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow. Well, that's generous for winning a Falcons game at home. But I get it. I'm not gonna knock it too much. I got you. At 4, now I have Tampa Bay. Was at 7, up at 4.
That's generous for barely beating the Jets team.
I know it is, but when Dallas and Indianapolis loses,
I felt like if I did anything,
three teams lost ahead of them. So it's like, what do you do?
I felt like if I did anything, what I would have done was I would have moved up Tampa Bay at most 1 spot, because just from the fact that you had to come back against the New York Jets, you were the defending Super Bowl goddamn champions. You had to come back against the Jets. I don't care what was happening on your sideline. You could have had Bruce Arians have a heart attack on the sideline. It still shouldn't have been that close.
I know. I think once Indianapolis dropped the game, I think it was just too much had happened right above them. I had them at 7.
The Indianapolis game really just blew up the whole thing.
Yeah,
which is I totally agree with you on that one. But with Tampa Bay struggle, I had to drop them a little bit further than. I didn't have to. It was just the other things that happened that I was just
I can't argue with none of that. Like all that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, I could do that, and I guess I mean, but. Yeah, this wasn't a good week for power rankings. My system it was too many anomalies.
It all fell apart at the end.
Yeah, it's just like nah, man. Okay, man. Look, it's like Price is Right. You put them in any number section you want, man. They all right. The number is going to be right no matter what.
You can justify them anywhere. Exactly. My number 4 is Kansas City. I put Kansas City at 4. They dropped 3 spots. They were at number 1. You lost to a team last week that was number 7. You stay in the top 5, but you got a little bit. You did get knocked for that loss.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm messing with your system. Man.
Yeah. No, I figured.
And this is what I mean by the media, us as fans, we're biased. He loses in a game, I'm pissed. I just punished him. You look at that. I just did it because everything you said makes perfect sense. I'm like, why am I even putting them over Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay don't impress me like that. But then again, am I supposed to be even that? Is the same reason as to why I don't deserve a vote because I would be so harsh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When it came to that, I'm not asking for a vote. I'm just saying if this dude a crush, whatever his name is, Hub over there, if he's got a vote, why the hell don't I? Because I feel like I could do a better job than this dude after what he said. But that's neither.
What I'm saying. I'm like, especially if we go on with, hey, our personal opinions and subjectivity and all that. I'm like, I could go with the best of them on subjectivity. Let me give it to you.
I do it every damn week. What do you mean?
Kansas City had no business losing to Cincinnati on any year, at any place, on any field, neutral or on the road.
Give Joe Burrow some damn respect.
Hold on. Let alone they lose some kind of way. Yeah, Joe Burrow. Thank you being, a whole year later on the whole process, buddy. Yeah. So with that being said, and then you lose and you think I'm going to be generous to y'all? And yeah, am I a fan? I have to be because this shouldn't bother me as much as it is, but it did. And it resonated all the way from the 1 seed to the 5 seed. And what you said made absolute sense. Completely. Taking emotions out of it and everything. And that's the point. I can't take the emotions out of it. They had the business dropping the damn game in the first place.
We're not MVP voters. We get to have some emotion into it. Let's talk top 3. Who do you got at number 3?
This is going to get even weirder. I got the Rams.
At 3?
I had them at 5. Now they're at 3. Don't ask. I know. I've
got questions, but okay.
Okay, they asked the question. They eked out this 1-point loss, this 1-point win, I'm sorry, against Baltimore. They didn't look good at any point in the game, and they struggled against a team that I think that is completely inferior to them, regardless of them going on the road and having to travel. And I understood all of that. I was like, but damn, are you really going to play up to that? Because that's what they did. They didn't even play down. They played up to that. That was ridiculous. And
I feel like they came to me. The Rams came out so sluggish in the first half. They got nothing going on offensively.
Why?
That's where I agree. That shouldn't have happened in the first place. Especially after the week that you just had, and I just gave you a break last week for coming out sluggish on a short week, on a even more condensed short week than you usually have on a Tuesday game that you had that got postponed on Christmas week, and all that hoopla happened. Mm-hmm. So I gave them that benefit of the doubt then. Now you look ahead to this week against the Rams, and you're like, well, okay, they should come out. They should be firing on all cylinders. Let's get ready for the playoffs. Let's lock things up. Let's do what we can to get this 2 seed, whatever they wanted to say. They came out so flat in the first half. I don't have an excuse for the Rams in that regard, But like I said earlier and when we were talking and recapping the games earlier in this show, my feeling towards the Rams was going into that second half, I wasn't worried. I at no point did I look at the Rams and say, oh, there's no way that they can win this game. This is done. The Rams are toast. There's nothing that they can do to come back after this. Regardless, and I feel like I would have that same sentiment even if Lamar Jackson was in that game. But regardless, I'm looking at that team. The defense is playing phenomenal football. They're still carrying the show. They're still doing everything that they can to shut down this lowly Baltimore Ravens team. And then you're looking at the Rams and you're like, all right, at any point, Cooper Kupp can go off. At any point, Matt Stafford can throw a touchdown. Sony Michel has been quietly one of the best running backs in the entire NFC for the last 4 weeks, last month of the season. Sony Michel has been an absolute stud. So it's like, I'm not really worried about this offense getting down the field and scoring 2 touchdowns in 15 minutes. I feel like they can definitely do that. And I'm not worried about this defense giving up too many points. That's going to be some insurmountable lead for the Rams to come back against. Like, at no point was I afraid of the Rams losing the game.
Gotcha.
Whereas with Tampa Bay and the Jets, I was like, well, damn, the Jets are actually dominating Tampa Bay. Like, they were actually taking it to them, and it didn't look like Tampa Bay had an answer for anything.
But I guess what I don't ignore, and this isn't going to have a lot of weight in this one particular game, is that they are a team that has the ability to, even when they can sit there and put up three crap, quarters of football, they can figure it out in that fourth quarter and salvage it and then eke out a win. A lot of teams can't do that. And I'm not even saying that's a great skill or a great asset to have, but when necessary and needed, in this case for Tampa Bay, for being the type of team that they supposed to be as this potential Super Bowl contender on this Super Bowl, this repeat run that they're trying to do, you're going to have to win that game by hook or by crook at this point. And they did it by crook. So
yeah, they did it by crook. They did it by crook.
So I looked at it from that perspective, and that's kind of why I was a little bit more forgiving. Even though I'm not a Tom Brady fan, because that was just bulletin.
You've been so tired of him for the last 20 years since you saw him step foot on the field.
No, I've been tired of his what's the name of his press. Not him specifically. I respected the system he played in and all of that type of stuff, to the point of it was just like, okay, I'm not even a damn Patriot fan, but I'll be very curious to see in a chess match one of these defensive coordinators outdo him and get this dude on the hook. And you rarely seen it. And when I finally did get to see it, guess what team it was? My team. So I'm just saying, it was a very.
I don't know how we got back on Tampa Bay. We were supposed to be talking about the Rams.
I don't know either.
Well, you have the Rams at 3.
We're justifying how, why I got Tampa Bay at 4 and the Rams at 3, but.
Well, I agree the Rams are a better team than Tampa Bay, so I'm not going to argue with that. But my number 3 team is actually, I think you're going to have a little bit something to say about this.
Probably.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's kind of high, but go ahead.
Lines are moving again. What is happening?
I don't know, but your line needs to move and bring Cincinnati back down to earth where the rest of us at.
Well, no. Let me give you my reasoning as to why I have them where I do. Now, I had Cincinnati at 7 last week. Initially, I had only moved them up to 3 spots into the top 5 into the number 4 spot. But when I moved down Kansas City, I moved down Kansas City 2 spots to number 3. So when I looked at it, I was like, well, I can flip-flop the 2 because they did literally just this past week. It's not like it was 4, 5, 7 weeks ago that they beat Kansas City. No, they just did it this past week. They can get that head-to-head bump and get that extra spot up over Kansas City. That is what I did, and that is the reason why they fall to 3. Not specifically because I think that they're the best team in the AFC, I do think that they are the number 2 hottest team in the AFC, but they did just beat who I think is the number 1 team in the AFC. So mathematically, I think looking at that, I have to put them at the number 3 spot based off of where they initially fell. And after doing some initial tweaking to things, I felt like they should get the head-to-head nod over Kansas City.
Okay.
So it's not like Cincinnati is the best team in the NFL and they're going to run away with this thing in the playoffs and everybody needs to watch out. I'm not that asshole. I'm just over here saying Cincinnati deserves its flowers for what they did last week. They played a very fantastic game, came back from 2 14-point deficits against one of the toughest teams to play against in all of the NFL for the last 3 years. Cincinnati has been very, very up and down all season, but they have been very impressive all season and they deserve to be in the top 5, but they've been playing better football as of late than both Buffalo and Kansas City. And on top of that, they did just head-to-head beat Kansas City. So they get that nod above those 2 teams to get to the 3 spot. Simple as that. Not saying that they are better than Kansas City. It's just they won the head-to-head nod.
Interesting. So. Yeah. They didn't even get over Kansas City and they won. So I got Kansas City at 5 and Cincinnati at 6. Again, I had Cincinnati down at 9. They were only going to make a jump so far. And I was only going to bring Kansas City down so far. So with that being said, 5, 6, boom, it's done. I get it. I understand what you were saying. Had a different scenario of numbers, but makes total sense.
I felt like I knew you were going to have something to say about it, but I did also. I had a legit reasoning as to why I did it. It wasn't like I said, I'm not that one of those guys saying that Cincinnati is the team to beat in all the NFL and they're going to be winning the Super Bowl this year. I'm not one of those. Okay. So let's talk top 2. Let me just get my number 2 out of the way because you already gave this team. I got the LA Rams, 12-4. They're the number 2 team in the NFL. Unfortunately, I wish I could have put them where I wanted to, back where they should be.
That's fair, but I'm gonna speak to something that is shocking, but it's gonna sound a little shocking, but it has to deal with the eye test more so than anything.
Go ahead.
2, I got Buffalo Bills, and
that's
now my point. I know you're about to say that, and I had them at 6 last week, and I moved them to 2. I had the Rams at 5 and moved them to 3. I purposely put Buffalo ahead of the Rams, and let me say why. It's the eye test. The Rams quietly baffle in the most baffling way have a 5-game win streak.
Mm-hmm.
That couldn't have been the most horrific looking 5-game win streak I ever seen in my, in competitive. In modern competitive football. I'm talking about competitive being top notch, not talking about the Miami Dolphins who quietly was winning. No, like we know you're winning, but just in how their wins have looked specifically the last 3 weeks, which means I can't even remember in my memory right in this moment what happened 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago with them in the first couple of wins of this streak, but they have not looked good at all. And at least Buffalo has looked more definitely above average, and they ain't looking like a gangbuster team, but you know what I'm saying? They're winning the games they're supposed to win. Not, okay, we just kind of held on and we made a push last moment, last week against Baltimore, and we eked out the win. Yeah. I mean, they look like a team on their last leg last week, and they're not a team on their last leg at all.
Okay. Here, let me.
Go ahead.
We both have the same.
I'm not saying it. Yeah. Go ahead.
We both have the same team as number 1, from what I'm getting. Unfortunately, we both had to put Green Bay
by default. Should I say that as a disclaimer? Moving on.
No, go ahead. I don't even want to. For all of you people say that we hate on Green Bay, they're the number 1 team in our power ranking. Shut up. Moving on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's get back to the Rams because that's actually what's interesting. Because now I know from this entire season, people are going to call me some Los Angeles Ram bandwagon apologist, some bandwagon fan over here. I don't think that's what I am, but I have been watching this team, and like you said, they're on a 5-game win streak. First one was pretty much a cupcake. You were supposed to do this. You blew out the Jacksonville Jaguars 37-7. That was a fantastic win. Then you followed up with a divisional away game versus the Arizona Cardinals, and you beat them 30-23. Regardless of how bad Arizona has looked over the last few weeks, you beat an Arizona team who has been one of the toughest teams in the entire NFL. And on top of that, it's a divisional game. These guys know you in and out. They know your playbook. They know what scheme you're trying to run. They know what you do defensively. They are going to attack you in ways that no other team can do because they see you so much. And they went ahead and they beat Arizona. Then they handedly took care 20-10, just went in and beat up on Seattle and got out of there quick and easy. Let's not even no muss, no fuss about it. Let's just beat up on Seattle. And then they went on the road on a short week where they had to also get their game rescheduled to a Tuesday. Or following that, them getting rescheduled from a Tuesday, they had to come right back and play on Sunday versus the Vikings, and they beat them 30-23 after they just handed the Vikings 3 extra possessions from 3 interceptions. And Vikings never were able to get back into that game. And this is where I have such a high regard for the Rams right now, is because their defense is still holding teams to less than 25 points a game. It doesn't matter how many points they score, because every single week you can count on them scoring 25 points, but you can also count on that defense holding teams to under, for the most part, anywhere from 23 to 20 points. They're not going to score more than that. So that's one side of things for that Vikings games. And that was off of, like I said, they only had 4 days to prepare for that game because they played on a Tuesday against the Seahawks. And then they follow that up with last week's game against the Baltimore Ravens. Again, another time where they played defensively, they played so sound that you never felt like they were at a loss of hope of winning the game. You never felt like they were out of the game. You never felt like there was no possible way for them to pull that game out. That defense is they've been playing so well over the last month and a half that it's just like, all right, they can go out there and just about win any single game as long as they take care of the football. And they've been proving it because they've been winning without taking care of the football on the offensive side of the ball. So that is where I give Los Angeles a little bit more credit than I think other people do. Yes, it is concerning that Matthew Stafford has averaged 3 turnovers per game for the last 2 weeks. I definitely think that they need to clean that up going into into this playoff run. That is going to be their demise if they don't clean that up. Regardless, though, this team has been finding a way to win games despite that, and they've been playing through a defense that has been sneakily top 5 defense in the NFL for the last month and a half right now. That has just been lights out. They're not letting teams score against them. They're not giving up empty possessions and just handing them free points. Drive in and drive out. It doesn't matter. The Rams will come and they will play a very sound defensive game every single week. And no matter what, they are going to give their offense the opportunity to go out there and win them the game. And with the weapons that the Rams have on the offensive side of the football, I don't think that there's any team on the NFC side of things that is more scary than a fully locked in Los Angeles Rams team.
I agree. However, the counterpart to all of that was a team in the AFC, and that's the problem. And that's the point.
And I don't have any problem with you putting Buffalo ahead of them. I don't truly. But I really specifically wanted to give you that statement because of what you were saying about their suspect 5-game win streak. I'm right. I don't think it's that suspect with that.
No.
Win streak.
Okay. I didn't finish the context of it because you know, and that was fine. You just jumped right into that, but it was in comparison to Buffalo's 3-game win streak.
Fair.
And what they did, what they had accomplished. Because even taking the same argument, they accomplished exactly that in those last 3 games. They never gave up more than 21 points in the 3 matchups. And that was the one against the Patriots at New England. And they won that one. So they gave up respectively. And I understand these teams are not gangbusters, that I'm about to say, but they won the games they were supposed to win, and they won them convincing. Versus the Panthers, they win 31-14. At New England, in an upsetter, 33-21. And then at home, versus the Falcons, 29-15. They checked all the boxes. But my point of saying that is, but in their last 10 games, they only gave up more than 21 once. And that was against Tampa Bay, 33-27 in 10 games.
Yeah. Well, they also gave up. No, they also give up 41 points against the Colts.
Oh my God, that is a loss. I'm so sorry. Okay, let me stop the 10 games. Let me stop.
Twice.
It's not. So it's 8 games.
Yeah.
So in 8 games, they gave up more than 21 twice. So that changes the whole thing. I don't want to go with that. So moving on. I skipped right.
Sorry, I just busted up your whole argument over there.
I was about to the 10 games. I was about to expound on their defense. However, if I take
but regardless, I do agree with you. Even with those 2 games, I'm still looking at them like, okay, yeah, that's still a formidable team. Because if you go back to the Rams, I'm not going to say that they haven't had suspect losses. I'm not by any stretch of imagination saying that the Rams are an impenetrable team. I mean, they had a 3-game losing streak where they lost to the Titans, who we both have said are suspect. They lost to San Francisco. And again, they lost to a Green Bay team that we both have said is suspect. So I'm not by any stretch of imagination saying that they're not a team that is they're this invincible giant that nobody can beat. No. That's not what I'm saying. It's just specifically that the last 5 games, I have been very impressed, even though, yes, the Jaguars aren't that formidable of a team. The rest of these teams definitely had something to give a little bit more credence to. And 2 of them were divisional games. And one of them was a game that they won against a somewhat tough team in Minnesota, coming off of only 4 days of preparation. That's even less time that you get than when you have a Thursday night football game. So it's just like, I had to give them a little bit more respect for that than Buffalo. But because also, granted, you already had Buffalo much higher than I did in my power rankings. So I do also take into account that you had them, I think, at least 3 spots higher than I did going into this week.
I had them at 6 last week. So
yeah, and I had them all the way down. Oh, well, we had them pretty close. I had them at 7, but I just didn't give as much credence to a game against LA than I did with the Rams going up against Baltimore. So those are the only differences. But I already had the Rams at 3 last week, and I think you did too as well. But you kept
I had them at 5.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you had the Rams lower. I had Buffalo lower, and we kind of got it closer.
Yeah, and that's like I said, a lot of this came under the premise of, the eye test. And that's just how the Rams were low or sitting at 5 for me because they have not looked good at all. And I'm like, that matters to me right now in my power ranking. So it matters a little bit more than most people would give credit to, but hey, it is what it is. But nevertheless, 2, 3, hell, they're in the top 3. Can't say that for the other 30. I don't know, the other 29 teams here. So it is what it is. It's an honor in itself. So
yeah.